Well, hey everyone, my name's Hans. Today I'm going to show you how to start a John Deere Model G. This is going to be a comprehensive tutorial. It's not going to be too long, but I am going to show you all the details, what you need to know to start one of these machines. So this John Deere G is a 1950 model. However, they are all fairly similar. This one does have electric start, so I'm going to show you how to do it with electric start. Let me give you a quick walk around. Now this John Deere G has a 12-volt system. It's got a 12-volt generator. It does have a live hydraulic pump here driven by the governor, and it's in between the governor and the distributor. It does have a wide front on it with power steering. Has a Char-Lynn power steering unit right here. But those options do not affect the way that you would go ahead and start one of these. This particular G, you'll notice there is an area for 2 fuel caps. One of them's missing. So on these tractors where you have 2 fuel caps on the hood, there's a large tank which basically goes from here up to here. There's a small tank which goes from here to here. Mine doesn't have the small tank, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it anyhow. So on these tractors, you would start them on gasoline back in the day when they were new, and you'd run them on distillate. Distillate was a cheaper fuel. If you have the 2-tank system, you also have a valve here. Now mine doesn't have that because the previous owners have removed that smaller tank, but I will show you what it looks like. My John Deere A has the same thing, and basically what happens is when you have that second tank, there is a fuel selector valve there. In the top position when it's F, that is fuel, that's for the large tank. G to the right is gas for the small tank, and O at the bottom is off. Now anyone today using these tractors is going to burn gasoline, so it doesn't matter where you have it set as long as you have it set to the appropriate tank. Most people use that large tank because the small ones tended to rust because people didn't use them as much, they just weren't as full, and the tank rusted. I'm almost certain that's probably what happened to this tractor. So anyhow, once you've selected the tank you want to feed from, you're also going to ensure that you have the fuel turned on at the bottom. So there's a sediment bowl. Let me show you the other side, because on mine, the valve for the sediment bowl is on this side. So you turn it counterclockwise to open it, clockwise to shut it. So before you start your tractor, you want to open it up. So you're going to turn it counterclockwise. That's going to open up the fuel valve so that you have fuel. And like I said, as long as your selector here is set to the right tank, which is typically going to be your large tank, set it to F. Now, if your tractor doesn't have that, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You're just going to open up the fuel valve on the sediment bowl. So once you have the fuel turned on, you're going to make sure that you turn on the ignition. Now this applies to tractors that have the distributor like mine does. If yours has a magneto, you don't need to worry about that. But let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. So this is the distributor and the distributor cap. When I turn my switch here to on, that feeds power to the distributor. If you have a magneto, you don't even have to worry about that. You're not going to have a switch or anything. Now a lot of people like to come to the left side of the tractor, stand here and start it. It's fine, but you got to be really careful about that. But it's not best practice to do that. There's safety reasons. If the tractor's in gear, it's going to run over you when it starts. You don't want that. So your best practice is going to be to get up on the tractor when you want to start it. Now on the G's, they have a gear selector here. Just make sure it's in neutral. You're going to make sure it's in the middle, neutral, not in gear. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my ignition. On mine, this is the choke. Your choke might be placed a little bit differently, but the principle is going to be the same. Your choke might be coming out of here. You're going to open it up if you need it. If it's cold start, mine only needs a little bit of choke to start. I'm going to disengage my clutch by pulling it back, and you'll hear the snap. And my throttle, I know that I just need it kind of set somewhere in the middle. So forward is full throttle, back is idle. Mine wants to be like right in the middle. One thing you'll learn about your tractors over time is they all have their own little individual sweet spot. All of them are different, all like their settings a little bit different. Now this is the starter, and this right here, when you push that, will engage the starter. That is meant to be pushed with your foot, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to push it until the tractor fires, and then I'm going to let go. Also, you typically only want to engage the starter for maybe a few seconds at a time. If the thing is not starting, you know, within 15 seconds or so, release it, because you don't want to overheat your starter or the wiring. I'll push my choke in. Adjusted my choke a little bit because my carburetor needs cleaned. The idle passages might be slightly clogged, so I run mine with the choke out just a little bit. If your carburetor is in good shape, you shouldn't have to do that. But if your tractor doesn't idle right when it starts, you might pull that choke out a little bit. You might find that it smooths it out like it does on mine. Now, it is good practice to keep the clutch lubricated when it's running by engaging it. But of course, you want to, again, make sure you're in neutral. You're going to push it forward, snap the clutch into place. This is good running old G. Let's check it out a little bit, just listen to it, and I'll show you around. Now, after you got your tractor started, it's obviously good to know how to shut it off. You remember when I told you about the distributor or magneto? Let me show you the differences with that real quick. Now, if your tractor has a magneto, which means it is not an electronic ignition system, to shut it off, you got a couple different ways you can do it. You can just take your throttle and pull it back like all the way, and as long as your throttle linkages are adjusted appropriately, that's going to shut it off by basically shutting off the fuel to the carburetor. Another way to do it, and this is actually best practice if you have a magneto or a distributor system, is to shut off the fuel valve on your sediment bowl. You shut that off, it's just going to turn the gas off and it's going to let your carburetor run out of fuel. On these old tractors, that's like one of the best ways you should be turning off your tractor. That way you're not letting it sit with fuel in the carburetor, which could gum up over time. Now, the other option I mentioned, if you have a tractor with a distributor like mine, is we're just going to turn off the ignition. In my case, my switch is right there. Some of these tractors might have a key switch, some of them just have toggles. It really just kind of depends on what farmers did with them over the years. Anyway, I hope this helped you out. If you need any more information on any of the John Deere 2-cylinder series, like the A's, B's, and G's, let me know and I'm happy to make a video about it. I like to make videos about these old tractors and how to do certain things like this in order to preserve the information for future generations that might be getting into the hobby. If you guys have any questions, just ask me down in the comments. Also, if you have any advice on things that I might have missed or little tips and tricks, feel free to leave that below too. It'll help out other people watching the video. Have a good one. I don't know if my mic's picking it up, but the guy over there has a 4-seater Razor, real nice Razor, 1000cc, probably turbo. He has an incredible sound system on the thing. He drives around and you can hear his music just like as if he were 5 feet from you. It's crazy. So I don't know, we'll see if that's being picked up or not, I don't know.